And some from Solidum. So I've just really pointed that and laid it over a hole in the bench. And you usually want to hold the pin. And saw it move. And that's all there is. So, where am I? Then, I'm listening to it, and usually it will change pitch. But you can also look at it, and I must have hit the bench, but it's come through there, and then it drives the other one, and go on and go on. So I cut it fore and aft, and I'll pin that, and get this joint done, pin it, and slide the panel in, and then drop the other side. So that's a crash course in how this stuff works. And all I have to tell you is if you have to get that pin back out, it's the devil to do. And I bought a 17th century chest at an auction. In America, a chest from the 1600s can be, the cheap ones are $30,000. And the good ones are $500,000. And English chests, they can't sell them in America. They go like that. So they can be $4,000. My reproductions are more than that. And I went to this auction one time where there was a chest that was part of a group I had researched and published. And I said, wow, look, they have da 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 da. And I went to the auctioneer, I said, you know, that's an American chest, that's made in such and such a place. I gave him a citation for my article that told him what that chest was. And when he brought it up onto the podium to auction, he said, we have this English chest. I'm like, oh, all right, so I raised my hand and I started bidding on it and I got it. And it had a lot of restoration and stuff. But I wanted to reverse some of that restoration and I had to take out 4 of those pins. And I thought, I want one of those pins for a photograph. I wrote a book about this and I needed a photograph of a 17th century pin. Because if you get that out, it has a wiggle in it where it has snaked through those holes. And it took me 45 minutes to back that pin out without shattering it. And it was just really deep, 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 deep. And it finally let go. And I thought, that's been sitting there for 325 years like that. And it was holding that joint tight. The piece had been cut off. This was cut off. And they had left the tenon in there. And the peg was still in the hole. So it was fun stuff. But that ties up our hour. Like I said, I'm going to hang around a little while. I want to get this thing finished. Because otherwise I got to lug these pieces back to America. And so if you have any questions or see me at any point in the weekend and have some arcane question about oak furniture, I'm happy to talk to you about it.
this your first time in Sweden?
Yeah.
Aha.
First time here.
Berätta om det.
Alltså den här, min pappa jobbade i Luleå som slöjdlärare. Och han var på ett museum. Det låg den gamla yxan som de har hittat uppe i. Och då vet han rätt på Bengt Rönnqvist i Töre. Och då bodde vi i Luleå. Där på 60-talet. Och då frågade han om han kunde göra en kopia på det. Ja visst, sa han. För han var verktygssmed. Så då gjorde han den här yxan och började sälja. Och sen när pappa flyttade till Västerbotten och blev hemslöjdskonsulent, då hade ju han kontakten, så då producerade han. Och så tog han fram käcklor i 3 olika storlekar och skaftades och allting. Så det var liksom försäljning. Så han försåg slöjdarna i Västerbotten med de här verktygen, för han visste att det var svårt att hitta dem. Så att så var det.
I tend to come at each spoon slightly afresh, really. They're quite complex forms, so I tend to be thinking about different datums. So I'm always working from one surface up to another surface, and then I can move on to the next one and work it back to that. So one of the first things I did was put a curve on the bottom. So I know that I've got enough depth for the bowl to be carved into. Now I can mess around with this top bit, and with this style I don't put in too much crank. You know, the bigger the crank in in straight wood, the more wood you're wasting. You know, if you're using a bent branch, you're going to get a really nice crank in it. But out of the straight bit, you've got to cut it, and that goes on the floor. So you tend to put in less crank.
Similar to English birch, which is quite similar to American white birch. The axe is really struggling with getting inside.
What's the name of the guy?
This is made by Ben Orford. He's a... These ones are better.
Worse.
Nej, jag måste göra det för att jag har inte gjort det någon gång. Jag är inte god i minnet. Men jag får det
this guy that publishes amazing books. And they were having a chat about what it means, and it actually does mean if I do my work badly, I will forever stay a poor servant. No.
We have to talk about that later.
Interesting. On the blog, there were like 6 or 7 Germans kind of discussing what it meant, and it wasn't that clear, but this is the one that I went for. What do you think it says, Dietrich?
We can talk later.
No, I think it's safe. Can you give me a direct translation? If it ruins my talk, I'll hate you forever. There was some structure to that first part. You might not have noticed it, but there's definitely no structure now. I just like going straight into bad things. I know Yogi will empathise with this. I've seen a video of you stabbing a bent branch spoon onto a windowsill. Is that correct? So just to show. Straight spoons, they can be prone to splitting and chipping. When you see spoons from the olden days that are made from straight wood, they tend to have chips off the front or cracks in them. I spend most of my time making spoons out of straight wood, and I guess I do my best to make them as strong as possible. Get as much of the grain running through the bowl as you can, strengthen the rim as much as possible, and add strength so that they don't split. But it's a fact that we need to face. You know, spoons have their issues, and we need to kind of do our best to make them not an issue. If you haven't broken a spoon in a tub of ice cream, then you haven't lived. I've done it several times. I'd like to say it was as part of research for spoon carving, but it's normally just in a hurry to get the ice cream out, and then it's like, ah, shit, not again. Poor little spoons, you've got to treat them okay. This next image, I don't really know what that's about. I think that partly my researcher just thought it was a good image to put in, and partly I think it's like, you know, don't judge a book by its cover. That delicate spoons can be strong, but it requires practice. Don't just make a spoon and take its word for it. You need to try it out and see what happens. That's what it's all about. Exactly, even old spoons.
Alltså om du klyver materialet, du kan på några sekunder få fram en fin, tunn träskiva med en bra bandkniv och en täljfest. Det menar du inte, så den här kulturjournalisten. Nu måste du skoja. Nej, men det är faktiskt sant. Det här överträffar handens arbete, maskinernas. Ja, men vad är den tredje väggen då, sa kulturjournalisten. Ja, sa jag, det är faktiskt traditionsväggen. Och då såg han riktigt uttråkad ut. Och jag sa, men traditionen är otroligt spännande, för den handlar egentligen om mänskliga överlevnadsvillkor. Den traditionella kunskapen är något som människor har vaskat fram i 20-25 000 år. Ett självhushåll, en överlevnadskunskap som är fantastisk. Hur man tar tillvara på alla materialen när man bor och gör det bästa av dem. Hur man får fram järn och stål och breder hudarna på djuren och timrar husen och timrar stora stockar, klyver ut dem till bord och stolar, sängar, svarvar skålar av överblivna resterna så man har något att äta i.
täljer skedar av krokvuxet material. All den här kunskapen är ju en praktisk kunskap som inte värderas längre. Och visste du, så att i Västerbotten så har vi faktiskt kvar ordet, det ursprungliga ordet till slöjd? Nej, det hade han ju ingen aning om. Jag sa i Västerbotten, om någon är praktisk, då säger vi att han inte är oslög. För ordet slög, det kommer från vikingaordet praktisk, kunnig, händig. En som kan sätta ihop saker och få något användbart av det. Men det är bara det så att i Västerbotten är vi så otroligt ödmjuka så vi säger ju aldrig att vi är slög. Utan vi säger att vi är inte oslög.